Like the caption says, what did I get myself into? Mike Espo of the Mike Espo Diecast Customs and More YouTube channel was kind enough to send me this Matchbox car and a bar of soap thing. Mike's a good guy. Didn't realize the trouble he was getting me into with this thing. He seemed more than happy to send it to me. So it got here a while back. I did it. It's in one of the unboxing videos. But I started prying the soap off of this thing. And I quickly realized this thing is a real piece of crap. It's not even really a Matchbox car. I mean, Matchbox made it, but it's their packaging and stuff. But this thing is an El Cheapo, made in China, no Matchbox logo thing. And I had delusions of making this thing nice at first. You'll see how my feelings about it changed over time. So once I got the soap off the outside, and I kind of washed it a little bit, even at this point, it's washed a little bit, drilled it out, and it's full of soap. I mean, the entire inside of this thing is just caked with soap. Yeah, I was overwhelmed by this thing. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. The body is in absolutely horrific shape. It's a junky casting. When I went to take the glass out, I didn't realize that the glass was held in place by a little post. So I snapped that in half. Just as well. The glass is crap. The wheels are crap. It's a crapmobile. Da-na-na-na-na. No, not a Batmobile. So there you see, after I tried to buff it up a little bit, and yeah, I really had a dilemma with this one because I did want to make it nice. Mike's done some of these things on his channel. Be sure and check out his YouTube channel. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. But I'm not sure at what point I finally snapped on this thing. I drill it and I'm going to use self-tapping screws on it just to make life easier. But I was trying to figure out how much time and effort I wanted to put into this thing, because even if I gave it a beautiful paint job and somehow smoothed the casting out and did all of that, it was still going to be a piece of junk because it's just not a well-made casting. And I was perplexed. There you see it cleaned up about as good as it's going to get. And I decided that this thing's beat to hell. And what do beat to hell cars deserve but a Gaslands treatment? Kind of sort of Gaslands treatment. So I put axle tubes on it because I wanted to raise it a little. I didn't want to jack it way up, but I wanted to put bigger wheels and tires on it. And I don't go extreme with them. But I did, want to put axle tubes on it. And I came up with the idea that this little junky car is going to be basically a radio control, a remote control drone type vehicle filled with explosives. This thing's going to be designed so that in the post-apocalyptic world, people are controlling this from a distance and guiding it wherever they want this thing to go. And then they press the button and it goes boom. That's my thinking for what this car is going to end up being. So naturally, it's not going to be pretty. And it needs to be, I thought about making it obvious and just strapping all kinds of fake little gas cans and stuff to it and just making it look ominous. And then I thought, no, this thing needs to have a Trojan horse effect. This thing needs to be welcomed, or at least be somewhat unsuspecting to the other post-apocalyptic survivors that it approaches in the rival post-apocalyptic world gang. So I don't do that. So I CA glued the axle tubes to the bottom of this thing, and because there's gaps and stuff under there, I decide, when in doubt, whip out the JB Weld. Because, nothing buys me time better than waiting for JB Weld to cure overnight. So, yeah, there's the JB Weld. I love using JB Weld. I can't lie. It just makes me happy. I mix it up to a fairly thin consistency. There's other forms of JB Weld you can use. I like the original JB Weld, and I like mixing it up where it's workable. And you can put it on rather smoothly. It's one of those things, I've used this stuff so many times. It's crazy. I did cover the ends of the axle tubes in case you're curious about the tape on the sides. That's so that I don't get stupid and somehow get JB Weld in the tube and then have to drill out the tube and make more work for myself. I try and do as much as I can so that I can do as little as I can and not make more work for myself. So yeah, I'm putting this on there, and I end up letting the base cure overnight naturally. Again, buying me time to think about what I want to do with this thing. I have the concept that I want to do, like I said. And so naturally, it's going to need an antenna sticking up out of the back. So I thought about hanging it off like a bumper or something like that. And I thought, no, this needs to be like a toy car in a way. I'm having that bumper come up right up from above the trunk. Think of this as being an engine in the front with the ability to control the direction of the vehicle. Think of the trunk as being loaded with the electronics to control speed of the vehicle, radio equipment, that kind of thing. And then the passenger cabin is where the stuff that goes boom goes. So I CA glue that antenna in the back. Yes, that is just an old axle. There was already paint on it. At this point, you're seeing the body, and what I've done to the body, you saw how it was buffed off before. I just put AK Interactive Rust on it. I put panel line marker in some areas. And then I took a match to the front of the car, since this portion is metal, and burned the heck out of it. And in some pictures it shows up well, in some pictures it didn't. But there's nothing to make something look flame scarred better than flame. I did end up putting a piece of scrap black plastic down on the interior. I painted those tanks red. With color spot red spray paint. I go over it with the silver Sharpie here to give it a little bit of detail. This is the inside of the passenger compartment, is where this is going. This is the boom juice. And so that's going to be the visible from the outside, so we know it's there. You and I know about it. But it can still roll up deceptively on people. That's the idea. I wanted color inside this thing. I don't know if you can see it in the picture there, but I took colored pencils and put some color stripes on the roof of the car, and I put it on the front quarters. I put a couple colors very lightly again, and when you clear coat it, it lightens it even more. I put a couple of targeting dots on the doors. You'll see those are in white, and they're fairly faint. So you may or may not see them. The wheels and tires I put on there are actually Real Riders from the Hot Wheels Real Rider set. I believe it was set 4 that this is out of. The black piece of plastic is actually, if you look at the upper left, there's my bag o' styrene that I throw all kinds of crap into, all kinds of styrene pieces into that. And, that's where you dive into whenever you need a piece of junk. And so I had some flat black styrene that's actually rafts from 3D printing that I cut that down to size, stuck it on the interior with the CA glue, as you see there. If you happen to be able to see in there, the thing I like about the rafts is they have texture to them. There is some added detail to them. It's a nice look. It's not just a plain piece of plastic. This didn't call for a plain piece of plastic. And then I just CA glue the red tanks down to that. So that's the interior. Because, this thing didn't have an interior. The glass, so-called glass, was just solid black plastic. So, cheap casting that it is, they hid it in a bar of soap. That's the one thing I actually do agree with Matchbox. If I had been an executive with Matchbox and we were going to sell this car as one of ours, we would bury that thing in a bar of soap. If there wasn't concrete available to put it in, I guess soap was the next best thing, because Matchbox should be embarrassed to have ever associated their name with this car. I guess that is that too subtle in explaining how I feel about this casting. I did use cut a tiny piece of axle tube and use it to hold the wheels in place, glue it in from the end of the shortened axle. That you've seen me do in this video, and you will see me doing in the World Service Day video that I have coming up soon. This idea, if I remember right, I stole this idea from Tom over at Spork Syndicate. I wanted to fill in the gaps so you don't see right through the car. And so I took some black foam that I had and stuck it in place. I think it was Tom at Spork Syndicate, as I recall, that did that on a build. I hadn't seen that before, and I thought, that is brilliant. And, it just squishes into place. So you screw the body together, it squishes. I did use CA glue to hold it in place just as I'm doing this. But that's the build. That's it. And, I use the self-tapping screws to throw it together. And it's done. And that's the best thing I have to say about this build, is it's done. Am I happy with the results? No. Do I think it looks particularly great? No. Does it roll? Yeah. It's got that going for it. There's where this thing started out. Mike, thank you for torturing me with this. I actually did, in a weird, sick way, have fun with this. It was kind of torture, yet kind of fun. Fun in a sick, demented kind of way. I do appreciate you sending this to me. Everybody, again, like I said before, go and check out Mike's YouTube channel. I will put a link to his channel in the description of this video. So there you have it. Yeah. I'm sure you're all agreeing with me right now. The best thing about this build is it's done. The front is kind of cooked, as you see there. That's from actually using flame to cook the front end. I couldn't use it to cook the base because it's plastic. But I'm kind of happy with that result. I'm going to do that again. But anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And stay safe and healthy out there. And, hey, the video is almost done too. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.